Morning, welcome to another episode of Papa's Workshop. These are for Adam, Brady, Luke, and Brenna. But before we get started, we need to check in with my assistant. She's snoozing over here. There she is, working hard. Are you all wore out there, Molly girl? Huh? Oh, yeah, that's my good girl. Yes. Let's get to work. Okay, today we're going to do the ball and claw feet for this corner chair. We did the joinery on the last one while it was still square. But before I can cut these tops off, I want to get the feet carved, since I'm afraid I'm going to break them. So the first thing you got to do is mark all of the starting point here. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the end of the stock. It's square, right? And we're going to put a line across this way from corner to corner. That gives us our center. Then we're going to make the circle, the size of the ball. So you have to know what you want for the size of the ball. In this case, we're going to make it 2 3/4. So I've made this stock 2 3/4. So we're going to have a circle around there. And then you need to know what the size of the ball is going to be at the floor, right? So we've got, this is the ball, and we're going to cut it off here at the floor. We need to know that diameter here, and we also need to know where the center of the ball is here above the floor. Typically, if you took a compass and drew this out, if you get the dimensions from a book or something or somewhere else, they're never, if you actually put a compass, it actually goes in farther than what they have you do it. And that's, in my opinion, that's because when it's on the floor and you're looking above, it wouldn't look right with it too much undercut. So it's a little more gradual, or even, a little more straighter there. That's a little side issue. We're getting ahead of the game. But anyway, so we're going to start out. We're going to make these lines, this circle, and then what the circle is going to be at the floor. And then we're going to decide the width of the toes. Right, so we're going to make the line this way, this way, this way, and this way. And that gives us our toes are out here. And this gives us some starting points. So once we've got that on the bottom, then we're going to, on the, here's the blank, the leg going up, we're going to take that corner right here where the outer circle meets the toe line. We'll make that line, and then we're going to right here where the toe hits the edge, we're going to bring those lines up. This one here, and then this is where the toe hits. Now on the two back lobes, we need to just draw an arc. This would be where our center of our ball is. On the front ones, it's just going to be straight up, because it won't. The reason we're doing all this is the first step is to make this a cylinder, and I'll show you an example here. But the first thing we got to get all the pieces marked. And when you're doing a set of something like this, especially in a carving, it's best to do the same step on all 4 legs rather than go through and complete one leg and then go back and do the next. So trying to make them as much the same as possible, then do each step, or each major step anyway, on all 4 of them, and then go to the next step to try to get them consistent. So I got all the legs marked. Hopefully you can see that. So we've got our 2 circles and the width of our toes. And then it's really hard to see there on the front two, that's going to go straight up. I also did the center line that helps me doing this. But on the back ones, you got to make an arch. So you need to know what the top of the ball is on the back. You need that height. So once you got all of those lines on there, let me get this one here. So this is one I've done already. So the first step is to take and make just a cylinder. See, that's just the round cylinder on these front two. It just goes all the way up. So I took those, the marks here, and just followed that outside circle up. And the idea is to get at this, what they call this, the break point. The point of the ball is the widest, and it's a set distance above the floor. It's something like, I don't know, 60–70% of what the half of the ball would be. It's in this case, I'm making it about 1 1/8 inches or so above the floor. And I knew what the top of the ball was, and I just, this one here, I've just started. So I've just outlined it and made that channel, just that V channel, and then I will come back and make a cylinder. And the idea is to get at that breakpoint line, is to get that in the correct arc, or 2 3/4 inch diameter. And I cheat, I use some old credit cards, and see, I can set that in there and see that I'm pretty well there. So the whole goal at this stage is just to get that right at that break point to be that diameter. Don't worry so much about the top. The bottom is, you've got where your guideline is, so you're trying to go straight in. But here I've kind of chopped in a little bit where the ball is going to be, but just to make it easier to get that part straight. So we're going to do this on all 4 legs, and then we'll go to the next step, which is actually shaping the ball down and up. And the only thing you have to be careful on this is you don't want to chew up these sides too much. I made them a little fatter than the lines. I can still see the lines, because inevitably you hit them with the chisel and it makes ragged. That's going to be the sides of our toes, or at least the knuckles when we get to that point. And you don't want to dig a big V in there, because you're still going to bring the ball further in under these toes. So you don't want a saw mark or chisel marks going too far beyond the bowl or into the toes. So you have to kind of keep that corner fairly clean. It's all going to get, we're all going to go in further, right? And this was the sample one I ordered, the casting from Al Breed. That's what we're shooting for. So I took measurements off of that about how high it is, and the diameter at the floor, and so forth. So I got work to do this on the other 4 or the other 3. I forgot to mention that I start by doing a saw cut right here. So in these front facets, you go all the way to define the sides of the toes, right? So that goes all. But the ones in the back, you can only go to where the curve starts, right? I also on the back ones do that line that's going straight down on the just to make it easier to make that V channel all the way around. That makes it easier then to round this center just like you do on this side, right? So we're shooting for this when we get this step done. And it's primarily done all with the flat chisels on this front. In the back, you've got to use, in my case, I'm using a number 5 to number 512 to define that line, and then cut into it, and then use the flat one to take out the column once that's done. All right, so onward we go. All righty, here we are. We got all four of the legs to this point. We've got the cylinders all done and marked. I've marked the break point. You know, the biggest part of the ball will be at that line. And what we're going to do next is this easy stuff. We're going to make the bottom part of the ball, which is from our break point down to that inner circle. So we need to curve, just carve it that way down, and keeping the toes the same width all the way down, you know, following those lines. So that's fairly easy, and I think I'll probably knock these corners off, kind of round that. That's just a pre-step. So I'm going to do that on all four of them. And I may have screwed up before I even started. My template that's over there, I cut this little deal on the back side, and I think that's going to interfere with the knuckle. So we'll have to make do. It's done. So that happens when you do stuff for the first time. Perfection is pretty hard to achieve, and I always like to try to do something new on a project, and this has got all sorts of firsts for me. So anyway, we'll march on with making the balls, and then we'll start into the tricky stuff on the top. Alrighty, we got the bottom part of the ball all done on all four of them, and I used just a flat chisel to go down like that, got it close, and then I cleaned it up just a little bit with number 320. That's flatter than the ball, but I just got the big chunks. I didn't spend a lot of time on it because we're still going to have to shape the ball on the bottom underneath the claws when we trim the claws down to size. So there'll be still more work, and of course when we do the tops there's going to be some blending. So don't spend a lot of time, and don't use sandpaper. At least don't use sandpaper till you're all done, because that's bits of the sand do get stuck in there, and it does bad things to your carving tool. So if you want to use something like that, use a fine file or something but we're not at that point where you really need to do any of that. So what I'm going to do next is, it looks like I got a lot of material to come off up here, but it's all kind of dependent on the ball. So I'm going to do the front part of the top front part of the ball is here. So the top of the ball is roughly about where this little line break is, but it's back about that far. So we're going to have to cut this out and work on the ball and to get the shape. And then we can kind of make these, the profile of these better. And I think this is going to have to come down and instead of going clear up here. So we're going to work on that, and then do that again on all four of them. All right, here we are. We got all four legs with the top part of the front of the ball done. Still got to work on the back. But you can see there's way too much material up here. So I think the next step is I'm going to knock some of that off of there, and it won't be the final thickness, but we'll get it down to where it looks better. And I've done that on one. Kind of marked where the knuckles are and got it roughly a ½ inch above the ball. And then I decided there was so much material up here that had to come off. I went back to the spindle sander and lowered that whole thing to make it. Still got to come down. We got to leave some for the we got the I don't know what you call them, the tendons coming off of here. We got to leave some for that, but like I said, I'm just getting it closer. I'm doing it in little steps because I can't put wood back. I can take a little bit off. So we're going to get them all in this state, and then I think we'll work on the back toe. I kind of was sketching on this one what we need to do, and start working on the ball in the back. Just kind of gradually get closer to where we want to be. The main point on this, doing this front ball, is you want that ball to look like it's continued right through that toe. So if you've got one that's up too high and down too low, you'll see it. So you just kind of have to, and that'll, when we get these all lower, that'll help us refine those a little bit more. It's pretty close, but it's not going to be perfect. It just has to look like it's perfect, right? So here we are. I got all of these cut down here a bit, and tried to get them a little more even. And I went ahead and defined. I got the first knuckle to size. It's a 1/2 inch high and a 1/2 inch wide. So I kind of made that a tube, right? Get that 1/2 inch, and then mark the beginning of the claw. So I think, I guess I go ahead and do the claws. So the first thing will be to cut the curve. The claw comes right down to about 1/8 of an inch of the ball here. So I just make a cutting with the flat blade, cut it down that way, and then do the profile this way. It starts out that thick and then goes down to about 1/8 of an inch at the bottom. So there's two steps to those. So we'll go ahead and do that to all of these. All right, there is the first step of the claw, is just to get that rounded. So now I need to go back and cut it down to 1/8 of an inch there at the bottom. There's the lines. So that's how we do it. All right, so now I've gone and narrowed it, and I slightly undercut it. I don't know if you can see that with the light. Yeah, I slightly undercut it there. So the next step, last step for the claws, is to round this over, make it look natural. And one of the unique things about the Newport shells is this claw being so long. And this part here, I've got it going straight down. Well, it actually curves back under. See, here's the... See, it curves back. I'll do that at the end when I get the claw done. So then we'll go do that on all the rest of them, and we'll be set. You see, I'm paring down that one side, but you gotta be careful to stay away from the ball, right? Because the ball has to go in farther, so you don't want to score that as you're paring that down. I just wanted to mention that. This is what some of them look like when they're done. See, I got the two others there. So we're getting there. All right, we got all of the claws done on all of these, and I went ahead and kind of started roughing out the veins or the tendons there a little bit. So now what I need to do is work on these side toes. Here, I've kind of roughed out the back one a little bit, but I'm going to have to modify the claw a little bit. You see on these, here, get this one here. On this sample, this toe goes up, and I cut on the template. See, I undercut it, and I shouldn't have. I did that before I had the cast, and so we're gonna have to live with it. So what I'm going to do is just make those go down. I'm trying to make them go up as high as I can, but that line where it was cut, that's my limit. So we're going to have to just make do with it right there. So we have to I haven't shaped the back of the ball yet, so we need to kind of work on this side toe and get the ball down. We'll just kind of inch it in there. So I've been kind of working on this every other day. It's springtime, so we've been doing a lot of other things. So, but we'll get there. All right, here I got this one. Got it cut way back, and we got kind of everything roughed out. And I think those back knuckles don't look too bad. It's not exactly the way it was supposed to be, but we're getting closer. I kind of had to work on all this together. The ball, trying to get the ball to look like a ball, and you know, between the toes. See there, it looks like the ball is one continuous ball. That's what we're after. So I had to work on those kind of all together and get the toes down narrower. They could be even a touch narrower. We look at the sample here. See there. They're a little narrower. Looks like I need to bring these parts down more. So anyway, I'm going to try to get the other 3 legs down to this point, kind of roughed out, and then it'll be just a matter of refining the curves and such. And here's the backs. See, mine kind of just come down instead of this, it kind of goes up. But I mean, I can find pictures from the Newport ball and claws that are more like the one I've done. So it's, you know, it is what it is, right? So onward we go. Alrighty, we got, we're getting there. I got the knuckles all done on. There's 3 in the front, 2 on the sides, and then the backs. So now I need to work on refining these side toes and reduce the size of these tendons. I just kind of roughed them out, but I need to make those a little narrower and not. So basically, I need to work on the top part of this ankle. And then we'll be ready for just the final scraping to get things smooth. So we're pretty much there. All right, we got them pretty much all carved. Now what's needed is we need to go back over with a scraper. I've got a little homemade scraper for the balls. We want to get that as smooth as possible. And I got to clean up. There's quite a bit in there to clean up still, but it's all going to be little fine touches, and I'm going to avoid sandpaper if possible, and just get them cleaned up. But I'm going to take a break. I'm going to leave them like that, and start working on the tops. You see, we got the ball looks like a ball all the way around. That's the hard part about this Newport style is so much of the ball shows. But we need to get the tops cut here like that. They got the 2 of them. I'm going to cut that and then shape that. But the top is pretty rounded. The bottom, the Newport style, they leave these edges fairly sharp, so we'll do that. And then we've got to glue on the knee blocks and carve that. So I'm going to do all that. We'll wait to this final scraping and sanding till we get ready to glue up.